So for the Vatican's Jubilee 2025, the Vatican decided to announce something strange. They decided to do something strange. Now you might be saying, when hasn't the Vatican done something strange? They literally named their telescope in their observatory Lucifer. The Vatican have scientists which have crossed over to CERN, and CERN have scientists which have crossed over to the Vatican. And that is very true. I have covered that in a previous video. The Vatican have a obsession with Saturn and Saturnalia. They've even stated that their telescope, which again they dub Lucifer, is focused on Saturn and the hexagonal storm that rages on Saturn. They've even stated that they are looking for the dead star, they are looking for wormwood, but ultimately they are focused on Saturn. Now, I might do a deep dive on that one day, Saturn, Saturnalia, the Kabbalah, and how it links to Satanism and the Temple of Apollo, and how it all connects to the Vatican. It's a rather fascinating deep dive. Then we have this very dark, very strange and bizarre artwork that the Pope sits in front of, which is titled the Resurrection of Christ, or the Resurrection of Jesus, something like that. And as the Pope sits there in front of this artwork, he stares at this, which looks like basically a snake's head. Then there's a lot of other things that can be said about the Vatican, which involves children and other things like that, which I can't talk about on this channel for obvious reasons, but maybe I'll make a video about that on my Humble page. But talking about children, the Vatican has actually announced something strange targeting children. Now, reading this article from, I believe it's called CatholicNewsAgency.com, the title of this article says, "Meet Lucy, the Vatican's cartoon mascot for Jubilee 2025. That is right, meet Lucy. Now, Lucy means light in Italian, and we know who Lucifer is. Lucifer is the light bearer. So it's a rather interesting choice of name for their mascot for their upcoming Jubilee 2025, which happens every 25 years. So we go ahead and take a look at Lucy, and we take a look at what Lucy is wearing. Lucy is wearing a yellow coat, has blue hair, has blue eyes, light in its eyes. It's wearing a cross, and it has a stick or a pitchfork in its hands. I know somebody might know what this might actually be, but it looks like a pitchfork. But take a look at Lucy's shoes. Lucy is wearing green shoes, and it looks like blood. Now, I know some people might say it's mud for whatever reason, but it definitely looks like blood. Why I find this little detail to be rather interesting is because, and this might be a stretch, but because there is a theory that there is a society known as the Red Shoe Society, where members of the so-called elite, members of Hollywood, members of the Vatican, they take children, do whatever they do to them, and basically they take their insides and paint their shoes with their insides. This is how these members of the society, this is how their shoes end up red, and they wear these shoes as basically trophies. So like I said, it might not be with what's intended here when it comes to this mascot, but it's just something rather interesting I noticed. But anyway, reading this article, which was published on October 28th, it says, the mascot named Lucy, which means light in Italian, is intended to engage a younger audience and guide visitors through the Holy Year. Interesting, and I don't think I can say interesting enough in this video. So again, like I said in the beginning of this video, this mascot is intended to target children, and they are using Lucy to guide children, the Vatican. Now, if this was any other organization, like the very eerie Lucy Trust, I would say it's creepy, but it is what it is. But given the fact that these are Catholics, and these are supposed to be people that people go to supposedly find their way to Jesus Christ and God, but they are blatantly showing you with their mascot who they use as their guide. And they are wanting to use this guide to now target children. Like, how more blatant can it get? How more in your face can it get? And I know there's going to be some people in the comment section of this video that will say, I see nothing wrong with this. Everything's fine. Everything's normal. But this is so blatant that it's impossible to ignore what they're telling you here. Archbishop Rino Ficella, the Vatican's chief organizer for the Jubilee, described the mascot as part of the Vatican's goal to engage with the pop culture so beloved by our young people. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a ton of sense why they would use a mascot called Lucy to engage with pop culture, because we know who owns and runs the media. Why do you think there's so much satanic and dark imagery in pop culture? It is ingrained in subliminal messages. But not anymore. They no longer use subliminal messages. It is very blatant. It is very in your face. So you know what? I take it back. This is not strange. This isn't strange. This is normal. This is absolutely normal for today's world. We can't use Jesus Christ as the mascot because that does not align with pop culture. That does not align with what children will follow or find cool. So we're going to go ahead and use Lucifer as their guide into the church. So this is, like I said, I take it back completely. This is normal. Because when I think of the Vatican, this is exactly what I think of. So I'm definitely not shocked, but I'm very surprised just how blatant they are with this. The mascot will debut this week at the Luca Comics and Games Italy Celebrated Convention for all things comics, video games, and fantasy, where the Vatican's dicastery for evangelization will host a space dedicated to Luce and friends. Speaking at a Vatican press conference on October 28th, next to a plastic figurine of Lucy, Ficella described Lucy's shining eyes as a symbol of the hope of the heart. Now here's something rather interesting. Lucy, he said, will also be the face of the Holy Seas Pavilion at Expo 2025 in Osaka, Japan, where she will represent the Vatican's pavilion theme, Beauty Brings Hope. Beauty brings hope. Now, from what I understand anyway, in the Bible, Lucifer, Satan, was the most beautiful angel in the Bible. So there's another connection to Lucifer, if you haven't been connected already, of their message. Lucifer brings hope. Was the seal of perfection, perfect in beauty, every kind of precious stone adorning him until the day wickedness was found in him. Beauty brings hope. When it comes to connecting the dots, out of all the videos I've made where I'm connecting the dots, this is perhaps the easiest video I've ever made, and that's scary. This is how blatant, this is how in our face they are with this stuff. Just like the music industry, just like Hollywood, movies and TV shows, just like news and media, they are no longer hiding it. They are no longer using subliminal messages. No, they are out there. They are very blatant to what they're showing us. But going back to Lucy and Lucy's design, I also find the hair color choice to be rather interesting as well. Because the color blue has a frequency number of 66.6, I actually had learned that from when they lit Hawaii on fire and I was making all those Hawaii Maui videos. So yeah, that happened. That was announced by the Vatican that they are using Luce the Lightbringer to guide children to the Catholic Church with the motto, Beauty is Hope. But ultimately, this is just Luciferianism. This is Masonic. This is why we keep hearing Hollywood say that this Pope, Pope Francis, is the Pope of the people. He wants all religions to come in. All religions can find their way to God. And who preaches that but the Free People Society?
He was quite amazing. He is exactly what I hoped he would be, which is a pope for all people regardless of religion, which I really appreciated.
One of the qualifications to be a Mason is that you have to be religious. It doesn't matter what religion you follow as long as you are religious. But as you climb those ladders, as you go higher, I'm talking about 30, 31, 32, and ultimately 33. There are higher levels, secret levels, draconian levels. But once you hit those magical numbers and ultimately 33, then they will show you that, and they will teach you that Lucifer is the one true God, and ultimately the religion they follow is the Luciferian gospel. So one can connect the Vatican to Masonry, and one can connect Masonry to the Kabbalah. This is the same Pope who told, I believe, either young adults or teenagers that it doesn't matter what religion you are, you can be any religion, and any religion will bring you to the one true God. And again, what does that sound like? It sounds like the Brotherhood. Now, there are some people out there that will say that that's nice. That's a nice message. It brings peace. It brings unity. But they don't know it's a grand deception. It's a false message that it ultimately leads to Luciferianism as seen with the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood are one of the architects of the one world government, the one world religion. I'm not talking about the lower levels, the peons, like your peepaw who drives around in his Cadillac with the bumper sticker that says, I'm a Mason. I'm not talking about those levels. I'm talking about, like I said, those higher levels, those 33 degrees and higher, the secret degrees, the actual architects. This is where we're going to get that one world religion, the one world government, with the guise of peace. But that peace is ultimately a deception for the ultimate control. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.